Hello and welcome to the Talk with Tariro. We are within the period of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, which runs from 25th of November to the 10th of December. And within this same period as well, we have got International World AIDS Day, which falls on the 1st of December. So we saw it very important to invite someone who's working in the HIV response. We have invited Emelda Mahaka. She's the executive director with Panja. Welcome to the Talk with Taro.
Thank you.
For the first time after so many years of working in the HIV response, you should be embarrassed of yourself. Maybe let's say start off by unpacking the mandate of your organization.
So our organization is called Pangea Zimbabwe.
Yes.
We registered in 2016 as a local organization, and we work across 4 pillars. Implementation science, which also looks at research. We work across service delivery, focusing on HIV prevention, focusing on primary care. We also look at advocacy. It's a big piece of our work, advocating for domestic resource mobilization.
We are within the period of commemorating the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And the theme for 2025 is Unite to End Digital Violence Against Women and Girls. Could you unpack that theme for us?
I mean, as you know, in the recent past, with social media, literally everyone has a phone.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of women and girls have been abused digitally.
Yeah.
People will post naked women, pictures of naked women. There's a lot that's ongoing. So I think this is very fitting for us to be addressing, particularly the digital space, as it pertains to violence. And I think I'm so glad that, UN Women have pushed this agenda forward, because we need to address this. Yeah. Women and girls need to feel safe. Just because you have a phone and you take a picture or a selfie, people should not be abusing you for how you look or, just bullying. I mean, cyberbullying, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's also happening.
And when you're talking about cyberbullying, Emelda, sometimes also there is this violence, women against women, that we are also witnessing.
Yes.
And we are talking about women and girls. Just the last 2-3 weeks, I think we've witnessed a woman in Manicaland who was abusing her son, tied him. And actually, I think the issue is under the courts. And what saved that boy was the aunt who actually recorded, used the digital mechanism to record, and then it spread out, and that's how the woman was apprehended.
Yeah. So there is a space, digitally where, if used right, I think it's a great platform. But I think when it comes to violence, I think, we really do need to put in place legal reforms. I'm glad that the Minister of ICT, that's what it's they are coming up with an AI strategy.
Yeah.
I think, and I hope one of the core things they need to address is, violence against women and girls, particularly from the digital space.
Yeah. And the area that you normally work in, which is HIV, that's the whole HIV prevention, treatment, and support, that whole area, and gender-based violence. Those two have always been Siamese twins, if I may say.
Yes.
Yeah. How is the situation now? Looking at the whole response, the interventions that have been put in place, the different campaigns since Beijing.
A lot has been done. I don't want to lie. I've seen donors channeling funding towards GBV, which has been great. I've seen our government jumping on board with that as well, which is wonderful. However, I always say, there are certain things that we can throw interventions at, but sometimes it's just norms and values, and they take a long time to change. To tell a man that this is wrong is not enough, or a woman for that matter, who may be abusing their partner. So I think in terms of changing our norms and values, yes, we've seen some change, but there's still a lot more that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And when you look at HIV, it's always been a difficult space, particularly for women. You know, if you look at prevention, for instance, if a woman wants to prevent, you know, themselves from getting HIV, knowing that their partner may be seeing other women,
Yes.
you know, if they take their pills and they're found with those pills, they are attacked.
It's an issue.
You know, it becomes an issue. So for me, GBV is a journey that we need to keep investing in and having the conversations. It's not just conversations within a health facility. It has to be a conversation within the homes.
Yeah.
You know, where we raise our boys to respect, you know, their sisters, their mothers, their aunts, and vice versa. Because we don't want to just say, you know, this is just for, you know, men, you know, versus women. And I think as we start having those conversations, we start dismantling, you know, these myths, and that no violence is okay within the home. So I think that space where we usually target the norms and the values, I think is sorely missing. And no one wants to fund that because it is expensive and it takes time.
So are we going to win then when it comes to such issues? Because I do know with the donors, they actually dictate in terms of the key issues that you have to address. But when we're looking at an issue like gender-based violence, it's a silent, I don't even know what to call it in our country. And the worst part is when you look at where they call affluent areas or affluent suburbs. If I look at Harare, you know, there's gender-based violence, which is silenced.
Yes.
This other side. And then when you go to that other side as well, it's quite prevalent and people get to see it. But people are struggling.
Yeah, it is a real struggle. And like I said, it's going to take time. Part of it, I think it needs, especially our government, really making sure that they address this, taking serious action against gender-based violence. But I find, like I said, you know, sometimes, you know, sadly, you know, if the males are the perpetrators, it's a harder conversation to initiate. And I'm not saying every man is, I'm just saying typically, you know, the people who, you know, are males. And so it becomes very difficult. It's going to need a revolution for us to deal with this. But we're making small progress.
Yeah. Indeed, we are within the period of 16 days of activism. We are also going to be commemorating International World AIDS Day. So we are combining all these issues to just remind ourselves of the importance of all these critical issues. So we'll continue with our discussion. Join us after the break. Welcome back. We continue with our discussion on the Talk with Tariro. Emeld, World AIDS Day theme this year is talking about overcoming disruption, transforming the AIDS response. What are we talking about?
Whew.
Yeah.
If I hear the word disruptions, you know.
Exactly.
Denominator.
Yeah.
Because I'll never forget the 26th of January when these emails started coming from our donors to say, stop this activity. You know, we all know about the USAID issue. And I think that's why disruption was put there, because it really did disrupt the HIV response. And I think a lot of people were affected. I mean, organizations, you know, mine included, grants just vanished.
Yeah.
Just like that. Yeah. We had to let go of people, and not in a humane way. Yeah. You're literally telling people there's no funding, we don't know what's going on, but you have to stay at home. And it was painful. Yeah. And on the health system side, that was disrupted.
Yeah.
People couldn't access their PrEP. People could not access their medication. Healthcare workers just vanished. Yeah. Today they were here, tomorrow they're not there because they've been told to stop. So, yeah, you know, I'm happy that the theme is so fitting.
It's looking at
because
that.
we do need to overcome these disruptions.
Yeah.
So what has happened has happened. Now we need to focus on the future.
Yeah. And so when we're talking about transforming, the AIDS response. How are we going to transform that?
And we need to do things differently.
Yeah.
I mean, Zimbabwe was heavily reliant on the donor funding, particularly for health. Yeah. And for now, we're going to need to say, what can we do about domestic resource mobilization? Yeah. What do we have in our country, that we can help continue funding the response?
Yeah.
I'm grateful that we've got the National AIDS Trust
Fund. Yeah.
Yes. But I don't think it's enough.
Yeah.
I mean, currently, I think they support 12%. I think, and I could be wrong.
Yeah.
We need to do more. Particularly when you look at HIV prevention, which was heavily disrupted, by the way.
Yeah.
I think what some of the donors have said, they want to fund HIV treatment, which I think is fantastic, but at the neglect of HIV prevention. So those are some of the things we need to look at and say, how do we get our government to put in more resources towards HIV, but the private sector.
Yeah.
We have not harnessed the private sector, as we should.
Yeah.
There's a lot that, the private sector can do. And private sector is broad, by the way. So we have our national insurance or our medical aid societies. What role can they play within this space? Mind you, there are people who are willing to pay for HIV services.
Yeah.
And so is there space where we can create that, where people can say, you know what, I don't want to go into a public facility, but I would like treatment, or I would like, to get PrEP, for instance.
Yeah.
Let's see how we can, get that going. I think there are a lot of opportunities. I think the biggest one for me is our communities.
Yeah.
Communities have always been at the forefront of the response, but always underestimated, underappreciated. But I think now we have an opportunity to recognize our communities, whether it's through our CBOs, our civil society. They have a big role to play, and they have been playing that big role. But I think now we need to, one, reward them through social contracting.
Yeah.
I know NAC was doing that under Global Fund. I think we still need to provide more funding towards our civil society or our CBOs to do the work. They are on the ground. They are at the grassroots.
Yeah.
So I think, there's a lot. But for me, the biggest one, we need our domestic resource mobilization is key. Yeah.
And going back, I think as a country, we've made great progress within the HIV response. And sometimes I actually feel amongst us as citizens, there's a lot of complacency, particularly on HIV prevention, where we are thinking, because all these drugs are there, we're not seeing anyone with falling hair because they've got AIDS. We actually don't have AIDS at the moment, I'm sure. Maybe if we've got cases, we do. Really?
We do. Sadly, and this is a sad thing for me, our adolescents are struggling. Do you know that we still have young people who are dying with HIV? Yes. Because of issues around stigma.
We still have stigma.
Our stigma.
When we're talking about zero stigma,
yes,
in the country,
we do.
But when we're talking about AIDS, Emelda, now around 1990, early 90s, when you're walking around in town, you could actually see that person. But now, because we are not seeing bulk of the AIDS cases, people are walking around with HIV.
Yeah.
And that is giving us this false comfort.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about even people getting into relationships and getting tested before people indulge, that is now almost alien.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it is.
We've relaxed a lot when it comes to HIV prevention.
We have. And I also think because with treatment, I'm sure you're familiar with treatment as prevention.
Yes.
I mean, now if someone is taking their medication and they're dedicated, it's very little chance of them infecting the next person.
Yeah.
So there is that. And then, like you're saying, just the complacency.
Yeah.
To be fair, people are tired of talking about HIV all the time. You get that whole fatigue.
Yeah.
It's fatigue with people taking medication. It's fatigue having to talk about it. But what's important is, although we've made huge progress,
aren't we going to reverse the gains now?
If we are not careful, especially around HIV prevention, we may reverse the gains, which is why, aside from domestic resource mobilization, we need to focus on HIV prevention. Now, I don't know if you heard, MCAS, our regulatory authority,
Yeah.
just approved lenacapavir, which is a groundbreaking.
Is that the
invention
new
treatment.
drug?
It's a new drug. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's an injection that you get twice a year to prevent HIV.
I think we'll need to talk about that after the break. We need you to actually unpack that for us. Where do we go and get it? We have had so many complaints, issues around PrEP, with people talking about side effects and all. So is this now groundbreaking injection coming in? Can I just access it as an individual? Would want you to unpack all that. So stay tuned. We will continue with the discussion after this short break. Our discussion around, there's 16 days of activism against gender-based violence continues. And like I said, we are with Imelda Mahaka from Panja. So you were talking about this
lenacapavir. Yes.
lenacapavir.
People just call it Len.
Len
or Lena.
Lena. Okay. Unpack that Lena for us.
Yeah. So Gilead came up with this injection. It's not the first one, by the way. There was one that came maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago called cabotegravir.
Yeah.
But I think because this one is, for 6 months, there's great interest for obvious reasons. Adherence, with oral PrEP, people struggled with taking a daily pill. And so this offers a solution for someone, who struggles with that.
Yeah.
Also offers a solution to people who, it's discreet. There's no partner or a husband, who may...
Yeah.
Exactly, the issues around GBV we're talking about. You can go to your clinic, get your jab, and for 6 months you're protected.
From getting infected.
Okay. Yeah, and it's 99%.
Really?
Effective. I think it's 99 point something, that's how efficacious it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it is a really strong drug. And I think we're excited about it. But it doesn't come cheap.
Or is it?
It is expensive. In America right now, I think it's $28,000 per year.
Huh?
Yes. Exactly.
So it's as good as we don't have it then.
We do have it. I think we're fortunate, especially in low to middle income countries.
Yes.
There have been agreements that have, happened between the manufacturers and the generic manufacturers.
Okay.
To the extent that, we'll be getting it at $40 per year, which is reasonable.
Yeah.
However, our governments need to also commit to making sure that it's available. At the moment, Global Fund, is providing lenacapavir. So we do have...
In Zimbabwe. So we already have it in country.
It's coming, but I think by January it should be here.
Okay.
Zambia has already received it. South Africa has already received it. Yeah.
All right. And I can just imagine almost everyone would want it. If you've been tested and you know your status, you want to protect yourself.
You can surprise
what mechanisms are going to be in place to ensure that maybe we don't have stockouts or even it's readily available? Are the plans being done? Because if we're talking about January, it's just next month.
Yes, plans are being done. I know Ministry is really at the helm. The AIDS and TB program is at the helm of really ensuring that healthcare providers are trained, the facilities are ready.
That's good.
To make sure that when people come in. However, we don't have as many doses.
Yeah.
So not everyone will be able to access it. And I think if from a government's perspective, you want to prioritize.
Yeah.
Who needs it the most? And at the moment, when you look at our landscape, there are certain populations or target, population groups that could benefit from this.
Yeah.
We talk about our key populations, for instance. When you just look at issues around incidence, our incidence is very low. But in some populations, it can be quite high. So you want to target those groups that you think would really benefit the most. So key populations, and that includes your female sex workers, your men who have sex with men. So another group that we often neglect are your pregnant and lactating women. You know, so you want to, but who drives HIV incidents? I mean, AGYW, adolescent girls and young women. And even looking at these populations, what we don't have is not necessarily enough.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone can
access it. Yeah.
But I think people who really need it the most, we know will access it.
So is it different from PrEP, or it's a form of PrEP?
It is a form of PrEP.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely a form of PrEP. And for me, what I would like to say is, so you may not be able to access lenacapavir.
Yeah.
Well, there is oral PrEP.
Yeah.
You know, so access it. I won't speak on behalf of, you know, the government.
The government, yeah.
But I would like to think that, you know, they're probably looking into, you know, investing more so we get more doses.
Yeah.
I know that, you know, in 2026 we may not get as much. By the way, PEPFAR is actually supporting lenacapavir as well, over and above what Global Fund is providing. So they will be, you know, it will be available in several health facilities.
Yeah. And in terms of treatment, where are we as a country? Are we, because with that disruption that happened, was treatment impacted heavily? Have we recovered, if it was?
I think we've recovered.
Yeah.
I think treatment was affected maybe briefly because, you know, PEPFAR was also procuring, you know, some of our ARVs. So disruptions were happening at that level. But, NAC stepped in fairly quickly and I filled that gap. So I feel like our treatment, I think we're on target. We are okay. Yeah. I think what remains is with some of our donors going away, you know, who's filling in the gap. Yeah. As long as government can fill in the gap, we should be okay. And those are some of the things that we're pushing for from an advocacy
point of view.
Yeah.
And in terms of new HIV infections as a country, are we still making great strides like we were? Or
I'm not going to lie, these disruptions really did a number on us. I was talking about our key populations.
Yes.
You know, they were frequenting their New Start centers or their other drop-in centers, and those were funded by our donors.
So those centers are not there?
They were literally shut down, most of them.
Wow.
So you had a lot of people who were relying on their PrEP or their STI treatment or, you know, their testing, and suddenly it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so I would like, we were affected. Yes, things are starting to pick up again. But that time lag, look, a person not receiving their PrEP for 20 days, 30 days is huge as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So as we wrap up our show, within this period of 16 days of activism against GBV and World AIDS Day, what's your parting shot to Zimbabweans? And as you are approaching the festive season as well.
You know, as we're approaching the festive season, like you rightly said, I mean, people want to be posting a lot. You know, people want to be seen and heard, but also just wanting to, whether it's revenge, you know, you know. So I think we need to be careful how we use our online platforms. Let's be responsible. Let's be respectful. But above all, you know, let's get to know Ubuntu.
Yes.
You know,
who
know, you know, as Zimbabweans, as human beings, we need to use digital platforms in a safe way, in a meaningful way. I think people ought to be safe as we look at World AIDS Day. If we're going to be transforming disruptions, I think as a nation, we need to pull together. And I think with our government leading and raising the resources to make sure that our HIV response is adequately provided for.
Indeed, need I even say more? I'll just emphasize to say within this festive period that we are approaching, let's use our digital platforms responsibly. Until next week, when we start off our festive season series, it's goodbye.